we got there? Sorry, I'm looking at the schedule, so forgive me 1 second. Just making sure we're getting all the folks in here. So we got
I'm in
Travis.
here, y'all.
Bess, where you at? There she is.
I'm right here.
There you go. Is that Andre? I don't know Andre.
Let me see.
All right, introduce yourself.
Whom?
Can anybody hear me?
FS.
Can you hear me now?
FS. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Andre Batts. I'm on the clock right now. That's why you just have my avatar right now.
Yeah, understood. And I don't know if Sean or Travis are swinging, but we're gonna keep rolling. So so real fast, we'll get this going here real quick. I am Charlie McKelvey, creator of Spider Squirrel, member of Freestyle Comics. Welcome to FS Con. This is awesome. So this is my first, my second con with FSK, but really my first one hosting anything. I joined FSK last year, as Michael noted earlier. So I'm gonna pass the mic around and let the panelists introduce themselves. So we'll go that way. Yeah, you.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Landon, and I am here today running my stand, I don't say stand, but it's virtual. I'm running a company called Virtual Lab. It's a virtual reality rental service where I come to events like this, and I host VR for everybody there to play.
Very cool, Landon. I hadn't met you, so I appreciate you introducing yourself. That's awesome. All right, Bess, I met you earlier. We were on a panel earlier, so might as well go. You introduce yourself there.
Hey, I'm Vasanya Lindsay, known as Vasanya Designs, but y'all can call me Bess. I do a lot of streaming. I also run a comic called Celestial Pulse. And this is my first time being in FSK, and I'm over here running things.
Thank you. You've been keeping Mike straight the whole day, so I appreciate that more than you.
Yeah, they had a nice rant Friday. They had a nice rant, and all of it wasn't even recorded. I was like, "Are you nuts? I got to come back here."
Nice. Wow. Thank you very much, Ted. We're gonna swing around, and I'll keep coming counterclockwise here after that.
Right on. I'm the president of Hero Tomorrow Comics. I'm the writer of Apama, Tap Dance Killer, Punchline, and Bloom. And I've directed a feature film, Hero Tomorrow, and do a lot of documentary work as well.
Awesome. And Andre?
Yes, I'm Andre Batts, creator of Redlocks Urban Style Comics, as well as the producer of my own Comic Con called the Motor City Black Age of Comics, which has been going on now. I just had the 12th annual event maybe 3 months ago. Looking forward to 2023, and I'm just ready to get it in.
Awesome. Well, let's get at it. So this panel, for those of you who either didn't read the schedule or just don't know coming in, that's great. This panel is really about the business of comics, and I'll comment, I'll intro, and then kind of go around, let you guys pop in whatever you want to. We'll do the popcorn style. But one of the things about comics that people don't always like to face is it is a business. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's a business. So whether you're doing this as a hobby, or just for fun, or if you want to make something out of this, or you want to be like Ted and actually get feature films and documentaries going, either way, it runs the gamut. So it's a business. So what about comics business to you draws you to it? So I guess we'll just keep going in the same circle here. So Landon, you want to go first? What draws you to the business side of comics, for not just the making of comics, but actually like getting into the nitty gritty?
So I don't actually have any comics, but one thing I would like to do is the main reason that I sort of want to be in this business is because our logo, it's a lion with the VR, and I would love to see a character made out of that and a story written about him.
Nice.
So it's really inspired me to think about comics.
Yeah. So, and you've got to invest, right? You've got to kind of put things together. It's not just a matter of just hoping it'll happen, right? So you know that. Yeah, absolutely. Vess, what about you?
So to tell you the truth, I wasn't thinking to be in this business, but my husband, he had found my my little doodles when I was making comics, and he's like, "Bess, this needs to be something." So it's interesting. I sit there, I learn from other people who are creating comics, and I I learn with every single time, a little convention and talk to other people and stuff like that. And it's work, but it's all about putting aside something so that you can bring your stuff to life.
Ted, what about you, bud?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it was really just what is appealing to you about the business side of comics? So we all get the creative side. I think
Okay.
everybody
Yeah.
relates
What's
to that.
appealing about the
Yeah,
business? Uh, Not much
if
is really
anything.
appealing
Yeah.
about it. I think I feel like it's something we have to do, but
Yeah.
like, there's no part of the business side of this that I was excited about, you know. So, uh, yeah, if I have something after Andre, I'll come back. But
Cool, by all means. Yeah, you can pop in anytime. So if it's something hits your noodle, by all means. Andre, what about you, man? Oh, go ahead, Ted.
yeah, what is appealing is when you're on the show floor and you're selling your book and people are responding and you know, you're getting that instant, um, you know, I don't know what you'd call it, dopamine rush of selling something that somebody's reading, or they're getting back to you with feedback on your work. So, yeah, I mean, anytime we're putting our book in somebody's hands, that's nice. And you know, it's something we really have to do to make this work.
Agreed. No, I love that part. So I'll come back around to that one. So that's a great point. Andre, what about you? Anything about the business side of things that really appeals to you?
Well, when you really think about the business side of it, it's a lot more work than just doing the artwork. So when you think about as much work that you're putting into it, it's not really that much appealing to that right there itself because you're putting a lot into it. But like Ted said, the outcome of it all is what's more appealing because that's when you see the fruits of your labor, basically. You look at it like, wow, I'm doing all of this. I have to get these copyrights done. I have to make sure this character is designed the way it needs to be, and so on and so forth. But then next thing you know, that part is the hard part. But the appealing part is the end all when everyone actually sees the actual project.
Yeah, amen. Echoing what most of you guys have said is I don't really love the business part either. I mean, there are aspects of it that get me kind of giddy when I think about. I'm a spreadsheet nerd, so sometimes I like to get in there and figure out, how can we make this work, or how can I better create, a target for a Kickstarter or whatever, crowdfunding platform. How can I better engage the audience and stuff like that? Those are all things to me that are still business side of it, right? Whether they're social or analytical, but you guys nailed it. I think the biggest, most exciting part is, and I love going to cons, is engaging with the people, the potential readers as well as the existing readers, and figuring out what do they love. I think that to me, and Ted, you said it well. Is getting that instant feedback and being able to engage with people is to me is the most exciting part of it. The business side, I'm just going to tell you, if you haven't done it a comic yet, it kind of sucks. So it's just kind of a drag. But you don't have to let it be. And the like Andre said, the net outcome is really, really where things go. So, biggest lesson learned in comics. I know all of us have, and I know we haven't, not everybody's done a comic yet. But what's the biggest lesson you've learned that's related to the non-creative side of comics? Let's just say it that way. So far in your journey. So, and we'll keep going in the same order here.
I don't really have an answer to that question, so I guess I'll just move on.
That's fine. Yeah, no worries.
I think the biggest is you have to have a social media presence. Like you have to have yourself out there and market yourself because if you don't, your stuff is not getting anywhere. So either if it's you doing streaming or you on TikTok showing yourself actually doing your craft, all that is going to be considerate when other people see it because they're like, yo, check this out. Yo, check this out. And it's like word of mouth and it goes around and here you go. You're in that loop, in that stirring the pot situation.
Ted, the biggest non-creative lesson you've learned that you carry with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just making sure when you're going to the printer that you've been so careful with everything. You know, I mean, it still sort of is part of that creative process, but it does feel a bit more businessy. You know, making sure your cover, you know, with like our Bloom series, we did like 8 covers for each issue, and you know, it just got very complicated. Just trying to, and you know, we are distributed through Diamond, and you know, realizing how Diamond approaches indie books, you know, what they want. You know, they want you to take a half page ad out in the preview guide, which is like, you know, that could be $1,500. And that's sometimes that ad doesn't even run on the same page as your solicitation. And then it's like, it's worthless. You know, I was able to negotiate with them. I'm like, hey, if this doesn't land on my solicitation, the ad, I don't want to pay full price, and they worked me out a deal. And so, you know, there's ways to just deal with, you know, catch things in the bud before they happen once you've been burned by something. And yeah, I guess, man, there's so many, but I can't really think of like the biggest, you know, biggest one.
No, that's fine. And by the way, if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, but we'll go around and do a little more loose, just kind of getting things pumped here. So, Andre, what about you, man? Did I lose you?
Here we go.
There you are.
I think you have to always hear that the your I's are dotted, T's are crossed. You know, the one thing that really pisses me off or whatever is when you print a book and you think everything is correct.
Hey, Andre, your connection's
The most
real bad,
important.
man. You there? Yeah, you're on.
You say about a connection?
Oh, it's we got like 3 words.
Okay. I was saying, I like to make sure that my I's, E's are crossed for the most part. You know, I like to relax, meditate, and wait on the product to come out. And that's really it for me. You know, it's just a waiting game. Did that come out, or we're still getting me in the void somewhere?
No,
You got
that
it.
was almost crystal clear. So that was perfect.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, nice.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. So, Landon, talk to me about your business. Now, I know it's not comics, but it's comics adjacent. So, and you're interested in getting to comics. But talk to us about what it is you do. What is your role, and how does that play into the larger kind of ecosystem of comics?
So, my business is the virtual reality renting service for events and parties. And most of the games we have are more like fantasy games, like stuff you would see in comics. Like the games that I brought with me here today, we have Blade and Sorcery, which is a magic and sword fighting game. We have a strategy game where you have to like build this deck and then you fight an opponent. So I've tried to bring games that would fit to more of like the kind of comics. Unfortunately, the superhero games we have, we didn't bring with us. But I tried to fit stuff that was like fantasy related, so the people at this event could enjoy virtual reality towards stuff they like. And so when people come and play these games, they can relate it to the stuff that they like to read or play. And like I said earlier, our mascot is a lion with a virtual reality, and I would love to see a comic based around him because he's a pretty cool character. I had no idea what he would do, but he's pretty cool.
That's okay. Most of us don't know what our characters would do when we first create them, but Vess, so you and I were on a panel earlier, and we were talking about streaming and social media and stuff like that. And you'd already commented about social media earlier today already, or this panel already. So for you, obviously, that's a passion of yours. What draws you to social media, and how do you connect with comic book readers? And is it fair to say that most comic book readers are engaging social or not?
Tell you the truth, the reason why I started doing this was because I wanted to open the doors to more aspiring artists. I wanted to see their things, what they were doing, and social media was like the best way to do that. So I came into contact with plenty of people who are working up on their comics, figuring out where they want to go from there and how to get into, doing everything else. And that's how I started out until I found out, hey, I should do conventions. And that's when I started like showing people my convention life and, opening the doors to things that I've learned so that they don't have to be stuck. So it's like we take advantage of that. We take advantage of using Instagram and we take advantage of using TikTok and, Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that so that we can get ourselves to not just at home, like, not just where we at, because my comic is in the UK and in Australia and stuff like that. So it helps with not only just staying home base, it takes me international. And that's what is the exhilarating feeling, like you guys be talking about, like when somebody buys your book and they continue to come back. It's even better when you have somebody from not even where you're at, like over the pond, like, yo, I need the next book, when that's coming out, and is willing to pay the extra shipping just for this sheet of paper. So it's really exhilarating, and yeah, it needs to be taken advantage more. I've seen a lot more comic creators becoming content creators, which have been expanding their horizons when it comes down to building their comic into like a solid business to have continuous people come and more readers and stuff like that.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I personally I love it. In case you can't tell, I'm a people like I don't know. I'm social butterfly. Wherever, whether it's digital, physical, I don't care. I just want to engage with people. I love it. Yeah. And so that's why we get along.
Yeah.
Ted, you are like a multimedia mogul almost, right? I mean, I know you'll probably laugh at me for saying that, but I mean, you're doing multiple. You're literally in multimedia, right? You've got Bloom, which has got multiple issues. I think we were just talking about this. You said the last one had what 8 covers. I've managed as many as 10 covers. I know what a nightmare that could be. How do you juggle not just the comic side of the business, but you've got all this other stuff you do, whether it's movies or documentaries or whatever. And I'm not sure even what other multimedia you might be getting engaged in, but
Right.
how do you juggle all this stuff? And what do you use? I mean, are there tools you use, or is this methodology? What does Ted's brain look like when he's going through this process?
Yeah, man, it's a scary place, I suspect. Um, eh, well, so I started out doing. We made a feature film that was about a comic book creator, and that movie, debuted at Comic Con International, played film festivals, and that's what really changed my career. I was then, from that point on, shooting commercials, shooting documentaries, and then we had the idea to bring. Really, it was for the feature film that we had made, Hero Tomorrow, which was about a struggling comic book creator. We made the book that he would have published just to put it on our website, and that it was really well received, and we realized how much we like making comics compared to making films, because films are so much harder. And then it just kept growing. So I've been, yeah, going back and forth between filmmaking and comic book creation now for the last, you know, 11 years, 12 years, really full time. And it's been fun to see the comic book side sort of catch up with. Neither one of these are traditionally like, big money jobs, but I've been fortunate. I've got some really good commercial clients. Like Case Western Reserve University for one, that I do a lot of their branding on the video side, and that has it's been nice to see the comics kind of catch up in the income. Like first it took a long time to get into the black, and so now when we release issues, we do a Kickstarter, and we also are released nationally through Diamond. So between those two initial pushes, we usually start in the black. Then when I'm at conventions, they can be profitable. Getting profitable at conventions is something that took a while. Uh, I have a friend, Henri Compin, and I recommend anybody who is, wanting to make money at conventions, stop by his booth and watch him. He really, I mean, that guy can do. He'll, I don't think he'd mind me saying, but I mean, just selling his indie comic, he'll do more than $5,000 at a convention sometimes, and I think it's, sometimes people don't want to talk about numbers and that because it's too personal, but it's nice to know what's possible or what people are doing. And for me, I'll just say a good convention day, if I do over 1,000, that's a really good day. And I've had that happen a good bunch of times. But there are the shows where you're just sitting there and people aren't biting or for whatever reason, or you go through some cold streaks. But you just, I don't know, there's something about the balance of effort and I feel like whenever I have a cold streak, it's usually followed, knock on wood, by a hot streak, and at the end of the day, you come out ahead. So it's helpful to have books that push into other properties. Like everything we do is a shared universe. So if somebody buys Bloom and they really like it, they come back. I'm like, well, that character made her debut in Apama, and then they're like, no, I didn't know that, and then they pick up Apama, and so
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I think I went on a tangent there, but hopefully answered some part of what you asked.
Dude, it was totally perfect. No, and it's great because it's funny. I used to be a basketball player. We talk about this all the time. But basketball players, you go through hot streaks and cold streaks when you're shooting, and but indie comics, you're right, it is no different. And all of us have experienced those cold streaks and those hot streaks, and it'll hockey stick one week. You're like, wow, this is great. I'm nailing it. I'm doing the right thing. And you do the exact same thing the next weekend at a bigger, better con, or maybe even a smaller con, and it's like, and you don't even make your money back. But I think the big thing, that I take philosophically from that, and I learned it from basketball, is you never stop shooting, right? You might adjust your shot, you might adjust, your focus, you might adjust whatever, right? And I'm using metaphors obviously here, but you can't stop taking the shots, and that's the most important lesson to learn is don't get down just because you had one really crappy show, right? And don't get too excited because you had a great one either. Set the money aside and save it for the bad show. So. Andre, you Urban Style. So talk to us about Urban Style. What is Urban Style delivering? I know you got what is it, Dreadlocks? I think it is. That's either coming or is out. And you've got some other properties too. So why don't you talk to us about what you guys have and what you're bringing to the fold here, and what your plans are for maybe for the rest of 2022 and going into 23.
Okay, yes. Dreadlocks just recently approached 30 years of doing Dreadlocks. From the conception to actually doing a book. I worked on an animated movie maybe 10 years ago. We worked through iClone. I don't know if you guys are familiar with iClone. It was successful for that time being. Is in the process of working on another animated piece for Dreadlocks. Getting into the video gaming as well with a couple of my other characters such as Jihad AD 2166. Look, I should have a demo ready for that. I'm thinking within the next 3 months. It's a lot of directions I'm going with Dreadlocks. I have different designs and different universes as it relates to Dreadlocks. At this point with 30 years, I can really do whatever I want. First thing was establishing my demographics with the character because he wasn't appealing right off the rip to everyone as far as in the industry is concerned. But that was okay with me because I just kept on pushing, just like you brought up a valid point as far as when you play basketball, because I played a little basketball too. Just because you miss 20 shots doesn't mean you're supposed to stop shooting.
Exactly.
So I agree 100% with that. And so with Dreadlocks, that's basically my ordeal that I had in the past. But right now, my demographics have somewhat been established. And, the Urban Style Comics, the LLC, has kicked off pretty good. And a lot of it, wherever I go, is like, hey, I've been seeing this forever online. But see, I was doing Dreadlocks before, the internet even started popping. Before we even had www, Dreadlocks was, already out there. I was going to small events. I live here in Detroit, Michigan, so my first shows, most of them were right here in this area, such as Motor City Comic Con, which is coming up soon, next month, as a matter of fact. It was pretty slow quite a bit, so I eventually ventured out, to Chicago doing their shows. I think back then it was the Chicago Comic Con, eventually became Wizard World, and now we know it's Fan Expo. So I do some cons, I don't do all cons, because I have to look at what's beneficial as far as financially. I just did an event right here in Detroit called Dally in the Alley, which was successful. I really don't talk numbers either, and I don't really speak on it a lot, because it's not that it's just my business or whatever. It's just that I feel that when some people get online and they're like, well, I sold out, and all this kind of stuff with their books. When I look at sold out, I'm not looking at, hey, I took 100 books and I sold them out, because that's nothing or whatever. A sellout, that means you took 1,000 books plus and you sold them out. So now you're doing big things. But I see a lot of that online, and see, I'm not that type of person myself to put that out there, because I sell out just about wherever I go, but thinking about it, I just know that when we use that language, we have to be real careful with that, and we have to understand that it's based on how many, the quantity that we actually took out, or whatever. If you go there with 20 books and you sell out, that doesn't mean anything. That only means 20 people came to your table. That's it. 25 people. At a con, you may have 20,000 plus people there. So you want to get at least a third of that to your table. Once you get that to your table, now I always sell them, what Tom brought up earlier when he brought up the $5,000 for that con. That's good. Excellent. And that's what we're looking at. As far as Dreadlocks, like I said, I'm getting into gaming, the animation. I would like to get a live action going. I'm in the process of scripting something out for live action, and as well as animation again. I'm going to go stick my hands into that again. I'm not going to leave it alone. Like I say, the video gaming aspect is another big thing that I'm doing as well.
That's awesome. I was actually I was checking out your shop earlier, and if I remember correctly, it was 20. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I counted 26 books that you've released through Urban Style. Is that right?
Actually, it's more than that, because remember, I was doing this before the internet. Some of these, I don't even have them anymore.
That's awesome. Hey, but that's far and above what most indie comics tend to do. Is really where I was going with that question. Is that let me ask? So, is Chris and Kevin still involved with Urban Style, and you guys all still kind of working together on this stuff?
Well, we're still tight. We still have a tight knit family, but we're all doing different things. Urban Style Comics now is more so me, but like Chris, he's on the web end as far as helping out on the web designs, and Khalil, Kevin, he's more or less on the the shows, like what shows should I participate in, and so on and so forth. He helps me out with that for the most part, but they're still involved, like silent partners now, I should say.
No, that's cool. I love that you guys have stuck together for so long. So I think that's really impressive. By the way, I'm kind of looping back around backwards. So thanks, Andre. That's awesome. I'm inspired. It just whenever I see, and I'll talk to Ted about the same thing. Is whenever I see an indie creator who has double-digit title, on his titles or his or her titles, it's impressive to me, because I know especially if you're relying on crowdfunding, you can only get 3, 4, maybe 5 books out a year if you're lucky. On crowdfunding, because you got these cycles that you have to go through. You got a campaign, you've got to run through the campaign, you got to get it funded, then you got to get everything built, and you got to get it delivered, and da 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 da. So kudos to you, because you're OG in it, man. You were out there doing this thing before, like you said, before the internet, and now you're yet even right now. Forget all the stuff that's not even available. You got 24 titles that are available today, or available today. That's outstanding. So golf clap on that one, man. Yeah. Ted, Likewise, you've got. I don't know who else is in the group with you at Hero Tomorrow Comics. So I'll refer to you singularly, but you're welcome to correct me there. You've got. Let's see. What is it? Palma's on 12 issues, 10, 11, 12 issues, right?
12, yeah.
12, and Bloom's got multiple issues now.
Bloom was 4, Tap Dance Killers 5, Punchlines 1 so far.
That's again multiple titles, multiple issues delivered. What's it like? Give me a synopsize, if you will, kind of your business model, and when you go to launch a new title, what steps do you take before you even get out there and start socializing this?
I do think the Kickstarter is really good. Backer Kit now with the Backer Kit launch, that's been terrific. Like, so every first day seems like it grows because Backer Kit conglomerates all your backers from any campaign you've ever done, and you set out an email that's like, this campaign is coming and it's launching tomorrow or whatever. Then you send it out when you launch it on day one. Everybody's ready for it who would normally maybe take the first couple of weeks to back it. So you can have a great first day or first 2 days, and then you get this really big dead zone in the middle, and then things really pick up at the end. Yeah, with Bloom, I was committed to putting all 4 issues out last year, so it was a Kickstarter campaign and a diamond solicitation every 2 or 3 months. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I would ever want to do that again. And this was a book that I had largely written. We had a big jump start on it, and I was still, because one of the business things that also is sort of a creative thing is I do all the coloring, lettering. So it was just Butch Mappa doing the pencils and inks and myself. So it was just, that's an awful lot of work. The coloring takes forever, at least it does for me. And I don't know that I would want to do that in that way again. That, it just takes away from all kinds of family time and things that are super important, obviously. I want to say something real quick to Andre. I didn't realize we met when we made the Hero Tomorrow movie, and we had a comic book shop in the movie, and we were not allowed. We asked Marvel, we asked DC if we could show their books in our story, just in the racks, and they said no. So we ended up going to all these comic conventions and meeting a bunch of independents. And when he said Dreadlocks, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was one of the books we showed in our movie, man. So I want to thank you for
Well,
that. We must have either met you at the Space Convention in like 2003 or at Pittsburgh Comic Con around the same.
it may have been Pittsburgh Comic Con.
Wow.
Space, that's in Columbus as well, right?
Yeah, so it was one of the two.
You never know.
You hooked us up with some stuff that we could show, and I'm grateful and
No
happy
problem.
to send you a copy of the movie, by the way. So I sent you a friend request.
Oh, I would appreciate that.
See, look, we're bringing everybody together even tighter.
Is everybody doing Cincinnati, by the way? Fan Expo this coming weekend.
No, I'm getting ready for the Motor City Comic Con right now,
Okay.
which is the third weekend of October this year, the 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Baltimore and New York.
Now, I would like to go to Baltimore, but that's oh, sorry about that. Someone riding a mini bike by me.
Oh,
But
that's okay.
No, you're
We
fine.
can talk about
Baltimore is in that's in November. Is it? No, is it coming up soon?
No, it's the last weekend in October. It's right before Halloween. It's the 28th through the 30th. Because I'll be there. Ted, I guess you'll be there.
No, I'll be getting ready
Awesome.
for YumaCon. That's what it is, YumaCon. Because
Oh.
YumaCon is the first weekend of November.
The good thing about Baltimore, which is related to this conversation, is that is where the dealers all get together to have their big powwows, industry things. So when you're visible at Baltimore, when I have a table there, a lot of times store owners will come up to me and tell me how our book's doing, or so that's a good one. Besides just a really good show for a lot of amazing talent, it's a good one to be at and kind of try to network a little bit.
I will say that Baltimore is one of my top two favorite shows, and it's probably number one. But I love Heroes Con too. And to your point, Ted, such a phenomenal talent besides me. But, I'm there anyway, but I'm the one schmuck that's out there having a good time and selling whatever. But no, I go as a fan almost as much as anything behind the table. So I love it. I get to see Bob France is a good buddy of mine. I love seeing Bob. Whatever I can, and these guys, it's just amazing the talent that shows up. Afua Richardson, who was on social media recently for some really, not because she did anything bad, because somebody else said something terrible. She wonderful person. I got to meet her last year, and I'm just so impressed with not only the talent that's out there, but the humanity that is amongst us. Right? It's just these big name stars and stuff that we see in comics are really. They're people too, and that's really kind of fun. And Baltimore is one of those places where everybody seems to be really chill. It's almost a leveling factor when it comes to egos, if I could say that. So I really enjoy Baltimore. So Ted, I look forward to seeing you there, man.
Likewise.
Thanks, dude. All right, Vess. So,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't get to say this earlier, but I'm dying to get the best cover on one of my books. So we got to talk, man, offline. We'll let Ted and Andre have their offline conversation about movies, but you and I got to talk about covers.
Yes.
So you've got this dope like Western manga style that I absolutely adore. No, I love it. It's super cute. I assume that's all you. Look, there you go. A little shine there. Can I maybe hold it down? There you go.
We got 9 issues, baby. Working on the 10th one.
So you got 9 issues, working on issue 10. So similar question to the rest of the crew here is, what one? I guess I'm gonna change up a little bit. What keeps you going? You obviously do a lot of the work yourself, like Ted. So how do you keep moving? How do you keep motivated? And really, how the heck do you do it? Because your style's beautiful. So lay it on me, man.
So you can say all this is driven by passion alone, because I can't stop. Like, I will be done doing my comic, my 9 to 5, and then I'll be eating dinner and sketching something else in a notepad. Like, this is something that it's like an obsession. If they had that thing that was like, the weirdest obsession, I will be on that show for art, because that's basically me. I just all day, every day, can't stop, won't stop. My husband tried, it doesn't work. And yeah, when I was younger, I had like a really rough childhood. Like I was abused and stuff like that. So art was a way to escape. So this is like a whole different thing for me. Like, sure, it's a business. Sure, you got to do X and Y things for it. But this is like my relief. This is like my medicine to keep me stable, And I can say that's the thing that keeps me going, is the fact that I have a story, I want to tell it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go full force and try to get it done and tell people about it, because it seems like they enjoy it, especially when they come back to me asking me for the next issue. So yeah, it's I can say I'm heavily driven by passion. It's just the love for what I do. That's what keeps me going.
So I know the theme of this panel was business, but I think everybody here kind of hit a little bit on what's really important is it is a business, right? We all recognize that, but we kind of joked about it earlier. It's not fun all the time,
Yeah.
but what you got to have that, like, if you're not driven, and I think passion is a great word. If you're not driven by this desire, by this passion to do this thing, then it won't be successful. I'm just going to say it, like that. I mean, you can be successful without passion. I'm sure it happens all the time, but that's just, it's not the same, right? And you don't get to celebrate it. So kudos to you. We had this conversation earlier, so I know I'm glad you said it. Yeah, I'm glad you said it. So
it's the whole situation of like, sure, you can think about money, like anybody can. That's what we need to live. But the thing about it is, if you keep thinking on that money, it's not going to be fun when you're trying to do something that you supposedly love. Like, these are my babies. You know, these are something that I do daily. So it's like, yeah, it's amazing to get, you know, a support. You know, it's amazing to get that support. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm making a story. I'm like I'm giving other people ideas. I'm inspiring other people. And that's like also another, oh, I did something, you know?
Yeah, I love it. All right, Landon, we're gonna let you close this out, and then actually I'll go around and ask everybody where we can find you because I want everyone to know because this is a great panel. Landon, talk to me about so VR is obviously big, right? Because I know Meta is into it. We've got the Quest, right, and then PlayStation even has their own VR stuff. So, what got you into VR specifically? And then from the business aspect of things, like how do you go and making sure that you get not only a product produced, but to get it out in the market?
Well, I'm a big gaming nerd, so one of the big reasons why I like VR so much, and I feel that everybody should love VR, is it allows you to escape reality. It really is virtual reality. It's it's just a game or multiple games where you can do what you like, or you could be a character that you could read about in a book, or you could literally do anything, and that is just crazy to me. So I love VR that way, and I think that it is a really marketable business for those who can't afford a VR because they're not the cheapest thing in the world, nor is the business itself. So I really wanted to bring people an opportunity to play VR that don't have the kind of money to buy the kind of VRs that I have with me. And I just feel that to bring it into the world like that, this is the perfect formal way to go to these conventions or these events where you can show everybody like the kind of stuff that we have to offer. I mean, we have fighting games, we have like ninja games, we have games where you can fly, we have games where you can just box people, we have games where you can just explore. It's like a whole other world that you can go through, and I feel that everybody should be able to experience that. And the virtual reality market in my local area around here, Ohio, is it's not very large at all. So I'm one of the very few options available for virtual reality content in the area.
Nice.
Nice, very nice. All right, Andre, we're gonna wrap this up because Mike gave me the 5 minute, like he's gonna give me the hook here in a minute. So although I usually ignore Mike, I'm gonna be nice. I'll play nice because I know they want to go home. So Mike, I love you. So I'll let you guys go home. Andre, where can everybody find you in Urban Style Comics? If I want to go
Well,
buy
they
some
can
stuff,
well, they actually can go to my website, my store page, urbanstylecomics.com or urbanstylecomics.store. They can look me up that way. And, social media for sure. You can link up with me on social media. We can chat, communicate, go back and forth, or we can run into each other at a show. I always like to meet with any individuals live and in person because I like to interact with a lot of individuals more so than social media and being online. But that's the new thing now. So I have to really put my mindset on social media. I got to get back to that. And that's basically it.
awesome. Thank you, sir. Ted, same question. Where can we find you?
Yeah, it's herotomorrow.com. That's our website. You can get everything there. My social media is also Ted Sakura. There's also one other tip, if I may.
Oh, please.
We're talking about making money at conventions. And I do, somebody told me this, and I believe it. There's power in the $20 price item. Okay. And when you go over 20, it's two bills, like 20 is one bill. Now, what the way I priced Bloom, for instance. Okay, so this was a $4 book sold in comic shops, and it was a 4 issue series. And so, my initial thought was, I'll sell all four for $15. They get a dollar deal. But then I thought, screw that. I'm going to make it four for 20. And I'm going to throw in a sticker. And that works all day long. And I don't mention that it's a $4 book. They don't really see the price on most. Maybe every three shows, somebody's like, "Hey, these are $4 books, and you're charging $5, and you're calling it a deal." I'm like, "Oh well, I am signing it, and I am giving you a sticker." But it's something to think about. Don't necessarily make the bundle less if it's, if you can make a little more money. It's a hustle, and you gotta. I don't feel like I'm ripping anybody off for sure. I mean, we put our heart and soul into that. So
Right.
anyway,
No, that it's funny. I think it was Jerry Conway was talking about that recently. If you guys don't know Jerry Conway, he's a comic book legend. He was talking about the same thing. Like, and I can't remember if it was Adam Hughes or someone else said, I charge $20 for my signature because it's easy, right? And the reason, and guys, if you don't know what the rule of 20 is, what Ted's talking about is, sell bundles $20, whether an item is $20 or a bundle is $20, because what's the common denomination that comes out of an ATM machine? ATM machine. Wow, I just repeated ATM. $20 bills. So when people go get cash out of the ATM, they're getting $20 bills. So it's nice that one, you don't have to carry as much change, and two, you make it easy for the purchaser, right? And so Ted nailed it. Like it's a business decision. But I think this is great. I think it's a great point to bring up. So cool tip. Thanks for bringing that up. I totally forgot about it. I do it. I just don't mention it. All right, Vess, where can everybody find you, lady?
Listen, I've been saying this all day. I'm Google friendly, all right? So Designs, you can get my store, which is Vasenia-designs.com. You can look for Celestial Post or Posttober. Google friendly. I'm there. You can find me on Twitch too.
Nice. Yes, we can. All right. Landon, you're last, buddy, but you're not least. Where can we find you?
I don't know my URL by heart, but if you search for if you search for Virtual Lab Ohio, we should be one of the first few on there.
Awesome. And are you on social or anywhere we can
We're actually still working on that, so we're going to start up social media soon. But you'll be able to find all that stuff on our website, which I will hopefully know the URL for soon.
Okay, great. Yeah, make sure Michael gets that out there for us, guys. All right. Any last parting shots at me, the host, or or anybody, or anything, or any thoughts or wisdom you want to drop before we roll, guys?
Shout out to Tech. He makes some good stuff. I got his book.
I got yours. And I got Charlie's too. I did one of your Kickstarters.
Oh, thanks,
Yes,
man. I appreciate it.
I've been hanging out with Landon, so his side is really nice. He be slaying them dragons and everything. I was like, oh.
I'll back my Zoop right now. So we were talking about crowdfund, the backer kit, and everybody getting into these crowdfunding things. I love it that we've got some innovative new crowdfunding techniques or platforms that we're not stuck with one, and we can innovate together. So I really, really like that, and I'm excited about Zoop. So, well, look. Thank you all so much for attending the last hour. I appreciate all the panelists for being here. Thank you guys for putting up with my voice for the last hour. I know that's hard. My wife complains about it all the time. But you guys are beautiful. I love you all. Enjoy the rest of FS Con. We are back tomorrow. Don't leave because there's a show afterwards. We're going to do a little, I think it's a poetry reading, a set to music, I believe. And coming shortly, Mike Watson should be coming in here for that. But we're also back tomorrow at 10 a.m., starting with some storytelling techniques and several other panels. So please come back tomorrow and enjoy the rest of FS Con. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes.
Yeah, back in the building. Boom, 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 boom.
Hey, brother.
Charles, thank you so much for hosting that panel, man. That panel was dope. Thank you. We're going to catch you guys again tomorrow. But like I said,